welcome to the Atlantic Canada's first Seafood Industry Innovation Summit. Keith, you're one of the organizers here. Tell us about how day one went yesterday, and here we are into day two already.
Yesterday was a great kickoff. We had a first initial half-day session. We had about 70 plus delegates that came, and it was all about sea cucumber. We had a demonstration in the pilot plant here at the Marine Institute. I think very well attended. Went through the process of the sea cucumber machine that was designed and fabricated here at the Marine Institute as a project with CCFI. We had the fabricators, C&W Fabrication for Bay Bulls here as well, and a lot of industry people, both technology, processing, harvesters, and actually give good insight into the current operations of it, some of the things they think could be improved, and as well going forward what we would need to do to enhance the technology and the efficiency of it. And as well, we had Dr. Deepika Dev, who's a scientist here at Marine Institute. She presented later in the day on full utilization, and that looks at what we're taking from the sea cucumber today and going into the market, but what's left over today that's not being used, and how do we assess that, the bioactives or other medical components that could be used for greater utilization and for greater return to all those involved in the supply chain.
It sounds like a great first day for sure. Keith, tell me now, how did all of this come together? This is the first time you're running this event. Who's involved and how did it all come together?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the industry as a whole looks at innovation and technology as a prime element of their operations, both domestically, nationally, and certainly internationally, and being competitive. But I think, Canadian Centre for Fisheries Innovation, our board of directors a couple of years ago looked at, we need to bring everybody together and have collaboration and consensus, see who's doing what. It's interesting, a gentleman yesterday who runs a processing operation at PEI said to me, he said, there's things going on right next door to me. He said, I didn't realize till I came here yesterday and met those people and had a chat. So there's things going on, almost in silos at times, innovation, different activities that, it's great to bring everybody together and have that discussion. The Fisheries Council of Canada has been fully engaged and, represents a lot in the fishing industry in Canada, the north, the east, and on the west coast. Certainly big proponents of innovation and technology. The Marine Institute itself, the expertise and from scientists to the assets we have here are second to none. So obviously it's a big part of Marine Institute and what they do, and collectively Dr. Heather Burke and myself, who were co-chairs, really put this together with representation from PEI and New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, and really got together and in 6 to 8 months, put this together, and the response yesterday was really fantastic, and some of the comments were, we need to do more of this. This is something that's really interesting.
Labor shortages and stuff, they affect every industry. Seafood industry, no different. I'm sure automation is big on your agenda, how you can bring automation into the various processing facilities and the like.
Yeah, some of the top leaders, one of the biggest sponsors are Bader, who, internationally in terms of processing equipment in the seafood industry, they're in most plants, in Atlantic Canada, certainly in other entities around the world. Automation is so important, as you said, in regards to labor supply, in terms of efficiency. One of the other things that we're looking at too is the introduction of robotics. What role in many industries robotics is playing a key role today, and in terms of labor supply, in terms of feeder systems, we have a crab robotic system that's a prototype in the plant here that we'll be demonstrating, and some of the components of that is visual technology, and the robotic piece. How can that be used, in terms of, if it's maybe packing crab sections in a box, how can it be used to feed a bait or butchering machine? All of those things require manual labor today, and there is a challenge in terms of that labor supply. So how do we integrate that into current automation that exists to further facilitate the process and deal with some of the challenges you spoke of?
It's complicated stuff, seafood industry, right? Because not everything is the same, and nature plays tricks on you with oyster sizes and all that, and you've got to try to make the robots kind of work with all of that stuff.
Indeed.
So it makes for challenges, exciting times, and great opportunities for students and the like to create tools that can solve these problems. Of course, seafood as well. Tracking the product throughout its life, and it requires heavy digitization. It requires good use of artificial intelligence moving forward, and I'm sure that's a big theme as well.
Well, that's a great point. Traceability. We had some inquiries from from some folks in the lobster industry. So in the US, they're introducing, actually incidentally, in 2026, all exports of seafood needs to demonstrate from the initial purchase to the last sale full traceability. And these are new requirements that are coming in 2026. So I had a question the other day in terms of how do we use artificial intelligence, digitalization, to create that data and that pathway or that runway that you can demonstrate to meet these obligations that are coming. So you're right on. I mean that's the technology's evolving quickly. Artificial intelligence. How do we use that to meet some of the demands that are coming from a regulatory point of view, and certainly from a traceability point of view. A quick note in regards to that, CCFI has done a couple of projects actually with artificial intelligence, working with them now, and dealing with mass data and how you synthesize it, create the algorithms to be able to extract that information and to build something. One we have is looking at a biomass predictive model for resource management for shrimp. So bringing all this data together and try to get greater predictors in terms of what that biomass is going to look like going forward in the future, and that's tied right to resource management.
And every time we do processing or something, no matter what sector it is, there's always great byproducts come out of it. There's always things that we never thought there was a use for, and then all of a sudden you find a very valuable use. It must be exciting to look at that as well.
Yeah, indeed. And I mentioned yesterday we did some investigation and discussion with that regard to sea cucumber. I mean, you've got salmon productions going on in the province. You've got cod, crab, even what in terms of shells, shrimp. All of those species have have different discards that there's a lot of work being done in terms of science and innovation and what's the molecular makeup of what's left there, and full utilization, about dumping and putting back in the ocean. We got to get away from that, and the other part is maximizing the profit and benefit for the harvester, for the processor, and all along the supply chain, which is so important. So there's a lot of work being done there, and a lot of work being done elsewhere in the world, which summits like these allow to extract that as well. We can share what we're doing, we can get an understanding what happened elsewhere in the world and try to adopt it here as well.
And my final kind of topic that I'd like to kind of unravel with you is that I find this sector is an incredible collaboration of government, industry, and academia. Everybody is in the pond, so to speak, and they're all working well together. Tell me about that.
Yeah, there is. And again, you mentioned earlier in terms of resource availability. That sort of fluctuates from time to time, and folks in this business need to adapt quickly. There's allocations in terms of quota. It could, in terms of the resource management, it could be adjusted, and it takes totally intertwined with the regulators, DFO, with the processors, with the harvesting sector, with those that produce technology. I mean, that could be a gear manufacturing company. There's a lot of support companies in this industry. People don't sometimes really realize massive amount of technology and innovation going on. And I don't know if that's truly recognized from a technology point of view, what's really happening in the industry over the last decades, and what's, from vessel design, from gear manufacturing, from food production. I mean, all of that is quite significant. So you're right. There's a lot of integration, and it's needed because it's a fascinating sector.
Keith, been great to be in conversation with you. Good luck on day 2.
Yep.
And I'm sure that there's going to be great conversations to be had. And I love how you so rightly pointed out that fellow in PEI had no idea what the person next to him was doing, and you bring it all together right here in St. John's, Newfoundland,
That's what it's all about.
to make that collaboration.
So thanks a lot, and the Gale Force wins. This is great to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you.